Welcome to another episode of Mission Compliance, Unleashing Growth Potential for Defense Contractors. In today's episode, we continue down the road of understanding CMMC, its regulations, and controls. Up next is CM.L2-3.4.3. Track, review, approve or disapprove, and log changes to organizational systems. We'll break down what this control means, why it matters, and how it impacts your organization's cybersecurity posture. We'll also provide practical insights and strategies for achieving compliance and securing your systems effectively. So whether you're a defense contractor aiming to win more contracts or simply someone interested in bolstering your cybersecurity knowledge, you're in the right place. You want fries with that? We're joined once again today by Mike Frieder, President of On-Call Compliance Solutions and a CMMC professional assessor. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Hey, always a pleasure, Roman.
And who doesn't love fries, right?
I mean, here's the thing about fries, right? There's so many different kinds of fries.
They're all
Like
good.
like McDonald's fries are so good. There's just, I mean, the sugar, the salt, there's like addicting fries, and then my personal favorite is like the crispy waffle fries where you put cinnamon
Yes.
sugar on top.
Oh,
Oh,
see,
don't get me
I don't
started.
care. I don't care if it's a shoestring trout fry, a crinkle fry, a steak fry. I will eat it. Everything except a sweet potato fry. Not a fan.
Not a
Um,
fan of the sweet potato, huh?
no, not really. Anyway, so other than fries, this week we're talking about log activity, specifically tracking, reviewing, approving or disapproving, and logging those changes. So, why is that important?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why it's important, but most importantly, sometimes decisions get made when it comes to security of a system. And, that change may have an adverse effect on either security or the system itself. And you have to be able to go and track down where that or change originated from so that you can roll it back if there is a problem. Um, again, when we look at this control, we talk about the idea that we can't just go and, change stuff in an IT system. I don't care how small it is, right? Even if it's one or two computers. When you make changes to the way a system operates or is secured, that needs to be documented. That's just part of compliance because if it's not documented and it wasn't tracked, reviewed, approved, or disapproved and logged, then it never happened. And that's how messes really, really get started. That is how we wind up in a situation where things break and we don't know how to go back and fix them. If there is a cyber incident, the DoD is going to want to investigate that and find out precisely how it happened and what happened. Um, so there's so many important reasons why we have to do this, but a lot of it is just record keeping. And yeah, if you're a small to mid-sized business and you're listening to this podcast, I get it. It slows you down, it bogs down your day, but it's also the law, right? Like it's just that simple, right? If you're going to be entrusted with national security level information, well, then you've got to manage the security around it. And certainly logging the changes to organizational systems is a huge part of that, right? If something goes wrong, we need to know how an intruder may have gotten in, or someone may have been able to access that information, and this is part of it.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, obviously this is important to keep, again, all of these controls are about keeping your organization and your information safe. So, what are the key assessment points that an assessor will be looking for on this?
Yeah, so on this one, there's four assessment points. The first one is determine if changes to the system are tracked. So in other words, when something changes, do we have an ability to track that change and actually know when it happened, who was responsible, and just what happened? So again, typically that is tracked via an IT ticketing system, but everybody's different. It could be something else. I think the easy button is probably an IT ticketing system. Next is determine if changes to the system are reviewed. Is there someone reviewing these tickets? We need to ask that question. Who reviews the tickets? Well, for one thing, the client reviews the tickets. And for another thing, oftentimes we have multiple resources on tickets, or there's a supervisor reviewing the ticket because there might be an escalation on the ticket. Lots and lots of different things. Again, a sample answer might be all changes are reviewed and commented on via the IT ticketing system. So again, the IT ticketing system really plays a big role here. Next is determine if changes to the system are approved or disapproved. In other words, when we make a change, is there an actual approval process? Is there a process that we go through to allow a change to security? So changes to the system are tracked in the IT ticketing system. Determination on approval or disapproval are kept within the IT ticket. So again, we rationalize this by saying, hey, listen, we've got IT tickets. There are supervisors that can look at these tickets, and if they disapprove something, then they're going to take notes on that and advise alternate actions. Next is determine if changes to the system are logged, and again, this is really where that documentation just gets doubled down and doubled down and doubled down. We would say all changes are tracked via the IT ticketing system. That is our log of changes. Obviously, there are audit logs and things like that too, but the log of changes, really the action point is the IT ticketing system. So again, in this one, the IT ticketing system is really, really a very important part of this. And again, your IT admin should know they don't touch the system without putting in a ticket that indicates something changed.
Absolutely. So, as we often do with these, we go through why it's important, why, each assessment point. What would there be a difficulty or a problem that anyone would run into trying to enact this one, if any?
Yeah, I think it's just if you're a small to mid-sized business, a lot of it is discipline. Um, and again, I feel for those companies that have like 20 to 50 employees or less. Those companies, again, maybe they have an IT guy, but he's probably not an IT guy. He's probably just kind of a general, kind of like engineer or somebody in the company. If you're a manufacturer who's like, hey, you know about computers, you're going to fix all our computers for us. Um, or another scenario is you've outsourced computer repair to a managed IT service provider. There's another very common scenario. And then you've got to really talk to your IT service provider and say, hey, we need a log anytime changes are done. Personally, I love outsourcing to an IT company. I'm a little biased because I own one of those. But the reality is when a client asks for something to be done, there's always a log of that change, right? It can't be a situation where internally you just go do something. You instead are forced to make that log, and show the review, the approval, the disapproval, and things like that. So I think from that perspective, it's almost easier to outsource than it is to insource. I know we had some challenges during our audit because the reality is we're doing all the things we should be doing from a security perspective, but then we don't go document them because, well, it's our system and we don't have to. Well, again, that's not okay. You have to have all of this stuff documented. Otherwise, again, you'll definitely fail an audit, no question.
Absolutely. So anybody that has been with us for 79 episodes, almost 80, that's crazy, knows that we, do get the serious stuff out of the way. It can be a little bit dry, so we like to finish it up by asking a silly question that Mike somehow turns relevant, even when the question is the most unhinged. And so this week, we love dogs here at On Call, and since we're talking about tracking, could you just get a couple of hunting dogs or bloodhounds who could help identify those log changes?
Well, I think that a hunting dog could probably detect some changes. This is true. But a hunting dog, is challenged by the fact that they have paws. I mean, they can't write anything, so it would be very tough for a hunting dog to be able to log changes to an organizational system. So, all I can say is, a hunting dog is very much like a small business. They can go out, they can do the hunt, they can capture the prey, and they can do the things they're supposed to do. But no bueno, that hunting dog is failing that audit because without documentation you're up a creek. And I will tell you guys, from audit experience, you can meet three out of these four requirements. It's such a pain. You can meet three out of the four requirements, but then if the documentation side isn't done, you're failing the whole control. It's really devastating. I mean, it's just, we've been through it all. And you don't want to go through an audit where, you just fail on silly stuff. And that's why I think, this is really quite so tough. So, yeah, for the hunting dog, again, awesome companion, no question about it. But that lack of ability to really log the changes in some sort of a format that'll work, that's going to be a tough one.
What would the on-call hunting dog's name be? This is just me asking. It's not on the sheet.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'll let you
Think
think
about
on
it.
it.
I don't know. We would, gosh, man, it's, I actually you stumped me, Roman. I don't. So I had a dog named Bagel who I was quite fond of.
Bagel.
Yes, Bagel.
I
Yes.
love dogs that are named after food. I think that's the
Yes.
funniest thing.
Yep. He reminded us of an everything bagel. He was definitely a mutt. But Bagel passed this year, which is very sad. And we are actually, speaking of hunting dogs, we are on the hunt for a new dog. We haven't found one yet, and I have to tell you that I think I'm very non-committal because dogs are a big responsibility, like securing CUI is a big responsibility. And there are many big responsibilities in my life. But you know what? I got kids and a wife, and at a certain point in time, a guy never wants more responsibility, but the companionship of having someone like on call there to help you with compliance or a dog there to just simply comfort you and just be there for you in your challenging times. You know what? That's worth it. So, yeah, it's there's no perfect time to get compliant, like there is no perfect time to get a dog. It just doesn't exist. You're always traveling, you're always doing this or that. The reality is you got to get compliant, and sometimes if you've been debating whether or not to get a dog, the reality is you just do it and you deal with the consequences later. It's like buying some big expensive toy for yourself or a new car. The reality is once you get the new car or once you get compliant, you're going to turn back, you're going to look at the journey and you go, damn, that was a lot of work, but it was really, really rewarding. Very much like kids. So, you know what? Take your hunting dog with you and go get compliant.
I, I had a friend's dad that used to say, if you wait until you're ready to have kids, you'll never have kids. So
I
you could apply that to dogs or compliance. It's still relevant.
that maybe that's the best saying, right? It's there's no good time to get compliant. You should have already been compliant for one thing, but there's no great time to go get compliant. It's like the great time was yesterday, and now you're dealing with the reality of the consequences that you're not, and you're gonna be in a rush and it's gonna be a mess and you're gonna fail audits and and again, that's when, I'll tell you when I first got, our little guy Bagel, the first thing we did after having him for a few weeks was we realized we don't know what we're doing. We need a dog trainer. We need help. And for like 3 or 6 months, we worked with a dog trainer on and off. And, that dog was the best dog anybody could ever ask for. He was a great friend, a great dog, just, a great member of the family. And I think that's very much like what we do here at On Call is, we come in, we help you to get compliant, we hold your feet to the fire. There's been so many updates over the years to this thing. We keep you up to date. We ride by your side through this compliance journey. And that's what we're there for, right? To be a best friend who understands the defense industry and to be compliant. So, in that regard, I think that's really one of the best things we can do for our clients and what we do every day.
Might I suggest, if and when you get another dog, considering that your first dog was named Bagel, that your next dog either be named Cream Cheese or Donut.
There you go.
And I made myself laugh while you were talking there because I just thought about this. Since your last name is Frieder, you could name the dog Apple, so it can be Apple Frieder,
There you go.
which is
Genius.
which is a type of donut. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Um, Speaking of which, time for some Thanksgiving food.
Exactly, because we're also filming this one the day before Thanksgiving. It'll be several weeks out by the time you see it, but we're still thinking about Thanksgiving here at On Call.
I'm always thinking about turkey, to be honest.
Always, always. Yeah. Have you ever done the turducken? Have you ever done the
Oh man, I have had turducken before, but I can't remember where. We've never cooked it, but I have
I
had the mythical magical beast known as
I really
turducken.
want to try the turducken. I want to try the deep fried turkey. I've never done that. But also there was a joke on a show called Big Bang Theory where one of the characters' mother, instead of a turducken, made something called a turbriscafil, which was turkey stuffed with brisket stuffed with gefilte fish. I'm not very interested in the gefilte fish, but if you could stuff a turkey with brisket, I'd be very, very happy. Now that because again, by the time you guys see this, it'll be closer to Christmas than it is Thanksgiving, so we're just thinking about food all the time.
That's
But
it.
That wraps up another great episode of Mission Compliance. We hope our discussion today has provided you with valuable insights, practical strategies, and inspiration to navigate the ever evolving world of defense, as well as make you a little bit hungry because we've talked about fries, we've talked about turkey, we've talked about bagels and donuts and cream cheese, and apple fritters. We'd like to thank Mike for joining us and talking about the ever important topic of tracking and reviewing logs and that kind of thing to make sure all your stuff is safe, and as well as talking to us about turkey and other food items. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, always a pleasure, Roman.
But the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to continue exploring these topics and connect with us on our social media channels. Share your thoughts, ask questions, and engage with fellow listeners using the hashtag Mission Compliance Podcast. If they haven't already, what should they do, Mike?
Well, they got to like, they got to subscribe, and they definitely got to tell a friend about our podcast.
By doing all of that, it helps us to continue to make this show, rate and review the show, so we take your feedback seriously because it helps us to continue to bring you thought-provoking episodes and high-quality content. Join us next time as we delve further into the dynamic world of defense, security, and industry innovation. Until then, take care, stay informed, and make compliance your mission. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody.